Hi everyone. Hi AFP Austin. My name is Heather Henry and my pronouns are she, her, hers. And I am the Director of Outreach for the AFP Greater Austin chapter. By day, I am a development officer at the Safe Alliance, but then with my involvement in AFP Austin and on the board as the Director of Outreach, I primarily focus on all of our IDEA and DEI initiatives, IDEA being inclusiveness, diversity, equity, and access, and DEI being diversity, equity, and inclusion, and also included in that culture of belonging and everything that we can do to embrace everyone into our chapter and make it as inclusive as possible. So some of the questions that I wanted to hop on here and answer are my IDEA role and how I support the IDEA work that's happening within our chapter, as well as why this is important to AFP and it's important to our chapter as a whole. So what my role has specifically been tasked with is to work to build relationships and build community and do outreach in the community with folks who have not been historically represented or welcomed into AFP Austin, and thinking more broadly about the historic culture of philanthropy, not only in Austin, but just generally in the USA, and how very often the culture of philanthropy has excluded particular folks and people, and often created a culture that was very white focused and often embedded in white supremacist types of structures. And so lots of work has been done with our AFP board, as well as the outreach committee, to not only look thoughtfully at our policies and procedures and in what ways we were perpetuating historic marginalization, but also to think of solutions of how can we be a better resource and be a group of professional fundraisers that everyone feels welcome and able to be a part of, and everyone has access to being a part of. And so, and the reason that this is really important, the reason DEI work is so important, in addition to all of those reasons I just listed, but is because everyone in our community deserves the ability to show up and be their full selves in every space, in every room that they walk into. And when you're working in an organization where the culture is not necessarily supportive or inviting, or there's not that sense of belonging, then you can be creating invisible barriers. And so it is our job in the outreach committee to figure out what those barriers might be and how we can work to dismantle them. And so with that, I would love to talk to you a little bit about a lot of things that our outreach committee has been working on in the past couple of years, as well as some areas that we need to continue working on. And so thinking about IDEA and how we can best embed that within our organizational culture, in the last several years, we have done a little bit of work to make progress in those areas, but at the same time, still lots to be done. And so AFP has approved, our board approved a resolution several years ago in 2018, just assuring that IDEA practices and procedures and IDEA work is incredibly important to our chapter. And then to expand on that in 2019, in partnership with the board of directors and the outreach committee, we have drafted an IDEA action plan. And so what that plan does is takes our, it's more than just a statement on a website. It's broken out by each of our different board roles and talks about different things that we need to always be paying attention to in our different roles and activities. Because one thing that we know about DEI work and IDEA work is that if there's not someone who is sitting at the table and a part of every conversation, or if there's not plans and specific forward action and how to take those steps to forward action, if those aren't put in place and in front of everyone as a part of every single conversation in your organizational structure, then they never get talked about and they fall to the back burner, and they just simply don't happen. And so it's really important in the IDEA action plan that we go role by role and establish not only accountability to all of our different AFP board members, but also lay out areas in which we need to continue growing. So not only its tasks and actions that we can take today, but also thoughtful steps on ways in which we need to grow and improve our organization for the future as well. And something that's wonderful as a piece of that, and the IDEA action plan, is that we actually, our lead pillar in our new 3-year strategic plan, the lead pillar of that strategic plan is IDEA. So inclusion, diversity, equity, and access. And so not only are these embedded into the everyday procedures and things that our board members are thinking about as they plan activities or plan education events or think about our financial policies and procedures, but we also have laid them out in the strategic plan of where we want to be in 3 years and how we can continue making AFP an organization that everyone feels that not only they are welcome in, but that they can be their full self as a member and show up and truly belong, because that's what we all want. We all want a community of fundraisers where we all feel connected and welcomed and like we deserve and belong at the table. Additionally, some things that we've done in terms of our IDEA work is we've hosted several roundtables and community culture conversations around these different policy, topics of IDEA, thinking about the diversification of wealth and just historically what philanthropy has looked like and how that has historically marginalized certain communities and left some people to be without a seat at the table, and all the ways in which that has perpetuated harm. We are also working to actively build and strengthen relationships with BIPOC fundraisers and nonprofit leaders who have historically been excluded from philanthropy and AFP, BIPOC meaning Black, Indigenous people of color. And so folks who we're working to build relationships with Black-led nonprofits or Asian American-led nonprofits or nonprofits who are led by and serve folks of color. And that the reason that we do that is because historically we know that white-led organizations tend to receive more funding, more status, more focus than BIPOC-led organizations. And so working to dismantle that systemic racism in our own outreach is really important so that everyone can have access to this really enriching education and professional development, while at the same time ensuring that our members and community they are BIPOC-led and Black-led and historically marginalized communities who are leading amazing nonprofits out in the community are doing incredible, extraordinary things. And we all can learn so much from the work that's been happening over the past several decades and years in Austin, but we just haven't had a lens shining on them. And so we are taking it under our guise to try and do that as much as we absolutely can. Additionally, we have worked to embed policies and procedures around our Philanthropy Day celebration to ensure that nominees for our Philanthropist of the Year award and our other awards are not only from a very diverse array of nonprofits in our community, but that they are representative of all of the ways in which people in our community give back. We know that the definition of philanthropy is love of humankind. And so people give back in so many ways, whether it be their time, talent, or their treasure. And so we wanted to make sure that we weren't just perpetuating this idea of what a philanthropist can look like and who philanthropy is open to, because philanthropy is open to everyone and everyone can give back in very particular ways. And so that's an area in which we're really proud to have expanded to become more inclusive, but also know that we have a lot of work to do in our Austin community. And we're also working actively to embed all of these goals and strategies and policies into where the money is. We're looking at our budget, we're looking at our financial procedures, we're establishing scholarships because we know AFP is not cheap. It's not easy to be a member when the membership is quite high. And so we're looking internally at in building our budget and building our goals. How are we backing this up with dollars? How are we investing in our community? How are we investing in fundraisers of color to dismantle barriers that have existed in our organizations, in in our community, in our community of philanthropy here in Austin, and how can we do our part to invest in the future and ensure that fundraisers of color not only enter the fundraising field, but also stay. So those are just a couple of things that our outreach committee and myself as the director of outreach in partnership with our board of directors has been working on the last couple of years. I absolutely invite you to take a look at everything that we've been working on and welcome your feedback. Would love to hear from you, and just excited to continue working on all of these things so that we can build the most enriching fundraising community in the nation, because everyone deserves a seat at the table, including you, and your opinions and feedback really matters and is important to us. So thank you for watching this video, and thank you for all that you do in your own community and your own organization to champion these values. You are so appreciated. Thanks again.